Krista. What's your name? I'm Ethan's mom. I don't know either. Yeah. I know. That's right. Am I in the wrong spot? I might be in the wrong spot. Am I usually right here? I'm right here, right? Well, what the heck? Easton, you can sit with my other friend.
Look at this.
Bribery.
Really?
I don't know.
They changed the seats around?
I know, they must have. That's what I just said too. I'm like, I've always sat by the students. But then I saw your paperwork in front of me and I was like, what? They rearranged us. That's okay.
All right. Alrighty, welcome everybody. It is now 6:02 and I need to call to order the Union County School District Number 1 Board of Trustees School Board meeting. I need a motion to go into said meeting.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussions? None. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda as identified on our outline.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented in our outline.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussions? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussions? None? Any opposed? None? Ayes have it, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items A, B, C, and D as identified on the outline for the meeting.
I'll second that.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We can go on to our presentations. Mr. Thomas.
I would like to invite the Clark Science team down. Oh, is that first? Okay. We have some presentations first. We'd like to recognize our outgoing board members, Joel Weidrich and Krista Weaver. We do have a platform, and I think it would be appropriate just to express appreciation for their service. Krista for 6 years, and Joel for 4 years. And I can tell you that you guys been a great voice of our staff and the community. You've always listened. You always come to me and ask very good questions. You get informed and always respond back. We'll miss you, Krista. 6 years is probably fair duty. So thank you for your service. I'd invite other board members if they'd like to make comments to make those comments.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Krista and Joel, it's been an honor, and it's been a privilege to be able to work with you, and just best of luck in your endeavors, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to say a few words too, that we've had the opportunity to work with them, and Krista and I go back a long ways. She was reminding me earlier, and they've been great board members. Appreciate having them here. It is a sometimes thankless job. We get paid a lot for being here though, don't we? Thank you for your service.
Agreed. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I'd like to say something too. I appreciate so much the two of you. Over the past 6 years, we've accomplished a lot. I mean, you think about what we've done over the past 6 years, and it's been a lot to do with the two of you and us being able to work as a board. I really appreciate your input and wisdom on some of the things that we did, so it's going to be greatly missed. So, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I don't know if the paper's here, or if there's someone that'll take a picture for us, but why don't you guys come up here and we'll hold you your plaques. And
Somebody's got a cell phone.
Kristen's one of my students too.
That's right.
She's one of mine too.
6th grade.
I know how old she is. You must be old.
All right, 1, 2, my wife tells me to take 2 or 3 of them.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Unlike many that present, the expectation is that they stay until the end.
Exactly right. Somebody said they're leaving at 7:15. I don't think so.
I have to go too. He's got a blessing. He's blessing me.
Okay. All right, Mr. Thomas.
Now it is time for the Clark Science team. Please come forward. Or you're forward already.
Well, some of us are. I wouldn't say I'm the whole team.
Tonight, we're just here to thank you and to present a little bit about what happened there. So we'd like to start out by having the director of the camp, Mr. Ron Taylor, speak for us.
Superintendent Thomas, school board members, I'm Ron Taylor. I'm the Environmental Services Director at Uena County. And we're excited on what you're doing for these kids. We was encouraged when we heard that the Teton Science School was coming to the Uena County Youth Camp. And it excited us. And the reason it excited us is because it's here. We have the services to offer, and I have a letter that I'm going to give Mr. Thomas, and I want to read this to you. It says, "Dear Superintendent Ryan Thomas and school board members, I am writing on behalf of the Uena County Youth Camp to express our gratitude and appreciation for your school district's participation in the recent fall science camp held at our facility. It was a pleasure to host the science school group and witnessed the enthusiasm and dedication displayed by both students and the faculty during their time with us at the UNT County Youth Camp facility. The involvement of UNT County School District Number 1 brought a vibrant energy to our camp, enriching an experience of everyone that was involved. The students' engagement in hands-on learning activities, their curiosity, and the faculty's commitment to fostering a meaningful educational experience exemplified the core values of excellence and exploration of education. We commend the district for prioritizing such experimental learning opportunities and honored to have played a part in supporting your educational initiatives. The use of our facility was made even more rewarding by the collaborative spirit and respect demonstrated by your group. Thank you once again for choosing UNT County Youth Camp as a venue for your fall science camp. We look forward to welcoming your schools for future events and continuing in our partnership to create memorable and impactful learning experiences. With a sincere appreciation, Ron Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Members of the board, we brought in 2 students tonight to kind of share their experiences with you as well. Again, this is just all kind of about thanking you guys. It was a great experience, and to have 2 students who are outside experts that we brought in mention these 2 again and again, so it was really cool. So thank you.
My name is Frank Dalzell. I am a 5th grade student at Clark Elementary who participated in UNT Science School this past fall. We had so many amazing experiences while we were there. The one that I remember the most is waking up in the morning, seeing the sun come over the aspen and pine trees in camp, and smelling the amazing breakfast that Mr. Cowan, Mr. Heaps, and Miss Hoagman had prepared. This was a great way to get started for the day. The specialists from the Forest Service were my personal favorite. My grandpa was the head ranger of the Wasatch Cache National Forest for many years, and it was fantastic to see the kinds of things he would have done in that job. It meant a lot to me that the Forest Service was involved. One community we learned about was the conifer community. Mr. Richens, an awesome outdoorsman, taught my field group about a serotinous cone, a pine cone that bursts and disperses seeds when in fire or extreme heat. Overall, a great community and one of many in the Uinta Mountains. And lastly, I want to thank the members of the school board for allowing Clark to go on this experience, and of course our Clark teachers who volunteered to help and plan this unforgettable experience. My classmates and I will remember this experience for a long time. Thank you.
Hold on just a second. I want you to let everybody know who your grandfather was.
Rick Schuler.
Rick Schuler.
That's right.
Great guy. Great man. So.
Yep.
Yeah, he was.
I am Ainsley Hoagman. I am a 5th grader student from Clark Elementary who went to UNT Science School this past fall. I remember a lot of things that we did, but the memory that sticks out the most for me is hearing elk bugle for the very first time. The first time that you hear something like that, it will stick with you. It is beautiful to hear, and our camp caretaker, Randy Barker, was really sweet and kind to allow us to have that experience and to let us use his camp in the cabins. My favorite day was spending time with the foresters from the Forest Service. Coring trees were really cool, and I still have aspen and lodge pine cores that Bridget gave to me.
Nice.
She talked to us about what she does, and forever I will remember what happened that day. Another thing is I remember going on hikes every day, and I could stop and take a break and look out to the beautiful trees, and if you were in a certain place, you could see the river. One day we were hiking, and Mr. Cox, an amazing host, pointed out an elk, and at once I went crazy amazed. Thank you to the members of the school board for allowing us to have this experience. It is one that I will remember forever, and I thank you so much. You have allowed us as little 5th graders to experience something magical, and I thank all of you who helped make this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So again, those are just a couple of our students and their kind of experiences. We did put together a little slideshow to kind of highlight again what also happened, so we will go ahead and show that now. So again, the UNT Science School was held by Clark Elementary on September 23rd through the 27th. It was held at the UNT County Youth Camp. It was an absolutely gorgeous place to have hosted us. The first day we were there, we talked about stewardship and leave no trace. The kids were able to do a service project around the camp, and we also had Randy Barker teach us about leave no trace. They did things like they moved some trees that were downed. You can see some of the pictures of what they were able to do, stacked firewood, other things of that nature. On Tuesday, September 24th, that was when we did our plant community day, where teachers hiked them around in the different plant communities. They learned about sage, the sage community, riparian community, all the different communities that make up UNT County, all except alpine, which is kind of hard to get to in those days. The next day, we had the United States Forest Service come in. We were lucky enough to that day have a wildland firefighter, their botanist, and two foresters come in. That's where they learned how to cord trees. They learned what a wildland firefighter does, how you would become a wildland firefighter, some other things of that nature with them on that day. It was a really good learning day for even the adults that were there. I learned a lot as well. The following day, after the Forest Service, we went out, we had the Wyoming Game and Fish, as well as the UNT County Conservation District come in. The students were able to meet their game warden, and he talked to the kids about adaptations of all of the animals that live in UNT County. They got to look at some different skulls and some different some pelts and other things that the game warden had brought in, and he talked to them about the animals that are there, how they kind of manage the animals and other things of that nature. Their education specialist for the Wyoming Game and Fish Department came in and played a game about adaptation, so they kind of took what the game warden had taught them and they played a game. And then in our last station, we had the UNT County Conservation District meet us at the pond, and they did a macroinvertebrate study and kind of then were able to, using a dichotomous key, break down the health of the pond that is there on the youth camp. So that was a fun experience. We were also able to, in these days, start working with a little bit of self-regulation and reflection, how to journal, how to calm yourself down through various things like yoga, deep breathing, other things of that nature. Miss Jenny and Miss Jessie, our school counselor, did a fantastic job in those particular stations, and we are thankful to them a lot for being able to have our kids sit along the Blacks Fork River and experience that. It was a really cool thing as well. We had evening programs. Our meals were second to none. Campus life was amazing with the basketball courts. The youth camp was gracious hosts, and we couldn't have done it without them. And just again, to all of you guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this happen and allowing us to go. It was truly something that I will remember. I think all of the kids will remember, and something I look forward to. You will be looking forward to again. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for allowing us to do this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
What are your plans for '25?
My plans for '25 is I would like to go back and do the same thing. The nice thing about the outside sources that we brought in, they're all on board. They would like to meet sometime in the spring. They learned what they can do to make it better, and we're just going to try to continue in fostering these relationships to make what I thought was a very positive experience even better for the next go-around.
That's great
So
to
that is
hear.
my plan, is to continue forward with this.
Now, with the success of this, the rumor's going to spread, the word's going to travel with the other elementary schools. What are our thoughts with expansion of this, besides your own elementary school?
Yeah.
We have also spread the rumor about the labor intensity of it. So if other folks are willing to put in the effort and the commitment that these folks did, then we'll be willing to help them.
I was going to ask Ron Taylor if he was ready for this thing to expand up there, blow up. No, I read the letters from game wardens and conservation districts and stuff. It sounds like that they are all on board with this, so very good job, guys. Appreciate it. It was a great experience, huh?
Before we move on, I'd like to commend the two students that just addressed the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
To stand up here and address the board, to stand in front of the board, and also in front of a room full of people, is intimidating for most adults. And I thought the two of you did an awesome job of expressing your opinions with clarity, and you were succinct and got your message across, and you didn't seem intimidated at all. So congratulations to both of you.
Okay, I need to say something. This does not surprise me, the success that you had. I worked with you guys for many years. I know what you can do at Clark. I have seen many things that you have done at Clark, and I am so happy that you went over the limit and went and did this. And Clark's always been a leader. I know that. And I want to say thank you to Jesse, and I know Kimber. And the reason why the students did so well, I just have to tell you, was because of their second grade teacher.
Who would that be?
I want to say too that I really hope it does spread through other elementary schools. I don't know, like with your group size, if it's possible to do a couple schools at the same time, maybe do a couple in the fall and a couple in the spring, but it's an opportunity that all of our elementary schools should have. I think Teton is going to be far out of reach in the next couple years, and if there's a way, I mean, I don't know my Aspen and UME Teton Science School teachers, but I know Mrs. Matthews and Mrs. Lloyd, and I have no doubt they could learn some of this from you guys and probably work together with you and put on a heck of a camp too. So I hope it keeps spreading.
Yep.
But thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Now we're ready for the entertaining portion of our school board meeting.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, before we get to the fun part of our evening, I just need to recognize Easton Williams, our student representative. He is filling in today. I don't know what he did to deserve it, but it must have been pretty serious. But thank you for being here, Easton. We appreciate it. And don't hesitate if you have comments. We'd love to hear them. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we'll turn the time over to our famous auditors. Come on up.
Members of the board, my name's Mike Burton. I am the fun part. I mean, that's why everyone's here. They heard I was showing up today, so I'm not nearly as eloquent as the two specialists from Clark Elementary, but I'll try my best. So, does everyone have a packet in front of them? Okay. So we're going to start on page 1. And I hear I have until 7:15. Is that?
Who told you that? I think we need to do what Clark did, is in time that you have to keep up with those slides.
Perfect, yeah. Okay, so on page 1, second paragraph, I'm just going to read this real quick. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position and the respective changes in financial position for the year ended June 30, 2024 in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. I adjusted it a little bit because I don't have a full breath to say that entire sentence. So that's our opinion on the financial statements. Now, if you actually go to page 68, which is the second to last page, or third to last, this is going to be the summary of audit results, and I'm going to go through these just because this really breaks down how the audit went. So the type of report issued was an unmodified opinion. That's the best opinion that that the financials can receive. In regards to internal control over financial reporting, there were no material weaknesses identified. However, there was one significant deficiency, that being the lack of segregation of duties. Does anyone have any questions on that, or have we discussed that plenty in the past? Perfect. Any non-compliance material to financial statements noted, there were none. For example, the budget, you guys didn't spend more than you had budgeted, and in regards to collateralizing any deposits over FDIC coverage, you guys did that as well. So those are kind of the compliance things that are looked at during the audit. So that's the financial statements. Now under federal awards, the type of report we issued on compliance for federal, or for major programs, was unmodified. I didn't read that one, that's on a different report. And in regards to internal controls over major programs, so this would be over federal programs, 6B, Title I, things of that sort, there were no material weaknesses identified, and there were no significant deficiencies identified. And there are no findings that were required to be disclosed for federal awards. This year, the major programs that were tested were the Child Nutrition Cluster and then the Comprehensive Literacy Development Grants, which is Y-Built. And then the threshold used this year was $750,000. Next year will be $1 million as they made that change. And you guys qualified as a low-risk auditee because you haven't had any findings in the past 2 years. So all in all, the audit went very well. John and his staff are great to work with. They're very quick at getting us information. He's quick at letting us know if anything happens through the year, which makes my job easier when I get there. I don't have as many questions because I've already heard quite a few things that have occurred. He's great at answering any questions that I have, because I do ask many questions of him during the audit process. So does the board have any questions for me?
No, thank you, Mr. Burton. Just really appreciate your company and what they've done for the past several years that we've been working with you. And the other one is Mr. Williams. Fantastic. You're the man. So,
Thank you.
a lot of trust in you and confidence in you. So,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Yep. All righty. We can move on to our school reports. And we will move to our state accountability report. Mr. Thomas.
Can you guys see that? I don't know if I can. Better? Chairman Peterson, members of the board, this is hopefully my attempt to kind of explain the process that will follow this. This is an example of the school performance report or accountability report. This is our number one goal. Our number one goal is to meet or exceed the expectations in these reports. They are unique and challenging. This assessment is, I think, very good. I would say that I do like the idea that they take into consideration not only achievement, but equity, which is the growth of the bottom 25% of our student population, growth of the population. Equity is the growth of our bottom 25%. Green is really good. Blue is even better. Brown is not so good. So you can see from this that we have 2 schools that are partially meeting and 1 school that is not meeting. There are no excuses here, but I would like to kind of explain how all this goes together. To be meeting, you have to have either exceeding or meeting in 2 of the, is it 2 or 3 of the 4 areas? 2 of the 4 areas. And so if you're not meeting in those, and you're partially meeting, you can see, for example, Aspen is partially meeting. They met their equity, they met their achievement. They did not meet their growth or the ELP numbers. And so if you continue down, notice Clark is not only meeting, but they've exceeded in their equity. Their achievement of ESSA requirement is in the exceeding requirements. And then the growth is also very impressive. North Elementary is also doing quite well. You can see how they meet. Uinta Meadows, which has been our highest performing school for probably, I don't know how many years in a row. And that's the challenge to this. If you have excellent growth for a number of years, you get to the point where achieving more growth is more of a challenge. So what we've seen over the last 7 or 8 years is schools come in and out of these accountability factors because they may have an exceptional year one year, and the next year it's a different cohort of students. And so they may not have that same scores. Uinta Meadows is, I think, experiencing that this year. They've had exceptional growth in the past, exceptional high achievement, and it's just a different cohort of students. What is nice is the experts on this accountability system is our principal and the school teams. If you are partially meeting or not meeting, you have to get your school improvement plans approved by the board. So they will present tonight their school improvement plans and how they will, our expectation, as I said, either meeting or exceeding expectations. That will always be our expectation. I'll just, out there in front of it, it is hard, if you're the principal of the school, to have a not meeting. But I have great confidence in our principals and our teams. We have exceptional staff members. I know as they dig into these numbers, they will find ways to raise these scores, and that's what really counts. If you look further down, you see EHS, and then Horizon is separated. EHS and Horizon have different factors that they have to consider. If you move to the right, at EHS, you can see graduation rate is at 85%. If you look right below that, Horizon High School graduation rate is 66%. When Horizon was developed, we knew from the beginning that there's a good chance we'll never hit that graduation rate, just because of the nature of the students who choose to attend Horizon. It's always our goal to hit that rate. The concern that I have, looking at these numbers, is 85% is probably the lowest we've had in a while at the high school. What is impacting us is the number of students who choose to be homeschooled and the number of students who choose to go virtually online in programs that are not accredited by the state of Wyoming. They are counted as non-completers and dropouts, and that impacts that score. It's really no one's fault. Parents have the right to choose the education they choose, and we support that. But that number is going to be harder and harder to meet as more students choose to be homeschooled or choose the virtual school. One of the factors that has not been changed, it was been there way before COVID. COVID changed all of that for us and our students, and it's something that we really need to keep an eye on. And I know it's something that the high school is always definitely going to keep an eye on. So that's kind of where those scores fit. If you scroll down, and I can scroll down, you can see the elementary cut scores. As I scroll down, if anyone's interested, you'll see the secondary cut scores. These are arbitrarily determined by a group of educators not from our district. So that's where those cutoff scores hit. Like I said, our goal is to meet or exceed all these expectations and accountability factors, and I have no doubt that next year we'll be looking at another group that flows in and out of these scores. Our achievement is good, and that I think is one of our highest measures. So with that, we'll start our school reports. Uinta Meadows Elementary Principal, Mr. Brad Francis. I should ask, any questions?
Not yet.
Do you guys want to add anything over there? Okay. It just takes a while. Patience is a virtue.
Okay.
That I don't possess, but anyway, there you go.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm Brad Francis. I'm the principal at Uinta Meadows Elementary. This is Dr. Moon. She's the Dean of Students at Uinta Meadows Elementary. And like I said, we're grateful that we have the opportunity to sit here and show our improvement plan for you, the thoughtful plan we have made. Before I get started, though, I want to mention how much I love and admire the teachers and staff members at Uinta Meadows Elementary. This was devastating news to get. It was discouraging, especially with the hours put in, the effort, and the time. None of us wanted to see this. But what I appreciate about our staff members is that it wasn't, I'm going to hang my head and be sad about this. I'm going to feel it, but what's the plan? How are we going to get to work and improve so that we are providing the best possible education for students at Uinta Meadows Elementary and eventually graduates from the high school. So excited to take you through the plan. We'll walk through it fairly quickly. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask where needed. I'm going to go over the accountability overview, where we are at. Mr. Thomas explained it very, very well, so that'll be very quick, and then just get into our 3 goals from our 3 domains that we are looking at. Okay, so the overview here, as you can see, if you miss in 2 areas, that moves you from meeting to not meeting expectations. Very easy to move between those, especially with growth, and we have some students that have some achievement gaps that we're trying to meet. And if you miss in growth, it's very easy to miss in equity as well, and that's what pushed us under that line, something that we are really digging our heels in, and I'll talk about that in a second here. Again, you can see there too. One thing I do want to shout out as a real celebration is that ELP score, which is our ELL students, and Lindsay Bowen working with those students last year did very, very well, and we saw even above average there on the ESSA growth norm category for that, so that was exciting for us there. And as you can see, that's where the cut scores are. We're looking for a very different story next year as we move into it, and we have a good plan in place for that. So to start off, part of the plan that we wanted to definitely include was leadership and vision. I think that's vital to the success of a school. We need to provide the pathway, and as a leadership team and as a administrative team, what is our focus? What are our goals? What are we going to work towards so that we're always focused on that? And that this has been lifted up from the beginning of the year. 3 different areas where we're going to really put our focus into, and everything we do is focused in those 3 areas. So the first one's cultural, and that is back to the PLC basics. Some of those things that we implemented 7-8 years ago that you always got to come back to and fine tune and make sure that they're where they need to be. And then strengthen our teams, make sure that we have effective collaborative teams. We're only as good as we are together, right? And so we need to make sure that those teams are functioning well. And so putting time and energy into those teams, making sure that they are engaged in the work. And then academic, we're really talking about vertical articulation. So when a student walks from 1st grade to 2nd grade, or moves from 1st grade to 2nd grade, are they picking up the baton where it was left off in 1st grade? And so aligning those standards all the way through so that by the time they reach 5th grade, they are all meeting the standards that they want them to meet, hitting those learning targets. And then effective teaching in every classroom. That is the #1 research shows that how well the teacher is in the classroom will determine how well the students perform. And so really building our collective efficacy, making sure that we are all doing best by our students. And then third, a real shift this year, which I think has been so positive, and I did a school report earlier this year about behavior, really fine-tuning our behavior management system, recognizing positive behaviors. One of the things we brought in recently that's been super fun for me is that teachers can submit positive behavior referrals. So looking for stuff that kids are doing really well, they turn it into me. I get to call parents, and at first they're a little nervous about principal calling, but it turns pretty quickly when I say, no, this is a good call. This is great, and let me tell you why. And then I get to brag about their student and celebrate them a little bit. So that's been a real good change too. But having that management system, flooding support to teachers, having behavior intervention team meetings when there's a student who's really struggling, and I feel like we're making real progress and gains in behavior as well. So all 3 of those areas together combined, then we can get into a really good place with our focus and how we need to move from this year and then into the future as well. And with that, I'll have Dr. Moon talk about our second goal here.
Our second goal is around data-informed planning. So data is important to collect, and we've noticed this year, after a meeting with our CKLA representatives, that we need to progress monitor our students more at Uinta Meadows. So we have found multiple ways to collect data for all of our students across the grade levels. Teams collect data from common formative assessments, and then we use the TACA as our data protocol to go through and discuss the next steps, what the kids need, how they're successful, and for the kids that are being successful and those that are not, what we can do. We're meeting with teams quarterly to discuss our data and set SMART goals. This year, like I said, we're really emphasizing progress monitoring to track the data and then make instructional decisions. Here's just a couple examples. We've met with teams, talked about progress monitoring, we're setting some goals, and making sure that we're tracking those students, each child's progress on their stuff.
One of the real fundamental basics of the PLC process is being data-driven. So taking data is one thing, which is something that is really emphasized, because once we know more, we do more. And so the question then is, what do we do once we get all that data, right? We have our common formative assessment data, we have our M-class data, that's that progress monitoring that we're talking about. We have benchmark data, we have a lot of different data points, but what do you do when you get all those data points? And that is where our third goal lies here, which is in learning support. We have time set aside each day for interventions for students. So really, it's called WIN, and what it stands for is what I need. And so that instruction should be specifically and specially designed for the students in that room. So let's say they're working on division in class, and a group of students are struggling with the same concept in division. You group those students together and you specially design that instruction to meet that need, so that then they are reaching the targets and goals that we've set for them. And so we are really looking into the best research-based interventions that we can provide in those times, and being more and more thoughtful about that. And that would really address that growth and equity, those two areas where we fell below that benchmark this year. If we can address that win time and make it as effective as we possibly can, then we should see that growth in our students there. I feel very, very confident about where our school is headed with that stuff. A couple things that we're doing, we really carve out time in our master schedule. We flood those win times, or those intervention times, with paraprofessional support. Part of that is then providing training for those paraprofessionals so that they are effective instructors in there. Because what we can do with that, by flooding support, we can get groups down to 4 or 5 students, and we can really target that instruction to them. And then we also bring in consultants that help us, that are specifically designed and trained in intervention work, that will take, we have one coming a couple weeks from now. That person will then look at our win times, take an inventory on it. Our students, are there good routines for those groups? Are they engaged in those groups? So really taking a look at those interventions, and are they effective? That should address what we need to for our school improvement, and then bring us back to that level where Uinta Meadows has been for many years, and where we know we can get. So very excited about the work. We're energized. We have great people in great classrooms. Mr. Thomas went with me today to observe a few classrooms, and you just shake your head when you walk out there like, these are incredible instructors, and I see it day in and day out, and I am proud of them for the work they've done. Like I said, discouraging to hear that, but we're ready to get to work and make sure that we don't get to this place again. So with that, any questions from anyone on the board?
Do you feel a little better this year than you did last year? You know, I know you've been a principal just for a little while down there, right? So I don't want to go back on there, but we knew that some of the stuff that we had was on the behavioral side, and so we went that route. Are you feeling a little bit better as where you are at this stage this year than you were last year?
I've never felt, personally, never felt better about my position where we are at the school. And then at school, there was just something in the air to start the year. You could feel that positive momentum. So this felt like a step back when we got the news, but we can't pay too much attention to that. We got to learn from it and then build on it. But yeah, to answer your question, I feel like we're in a really good spot.
I have a question. So how do you know that you're making progress?
That's a great question, and that those measures that we talked about, those progress monitoring, we're inputting data right now as an administrative team, and we're able to now, something that Uinta Meadows hasn't done ever is really look at individuals, because we've had a fairly large school, right? So to look at, from an administrative level, I want to go to the individual students and be able to talk about names, and then look at data points week after week after week and go, if they're not progressing, we need to have a conversation about that student and see where they go. And using other data points too. So teachers are giving their tests in class, which we call CFAs. Is the CFA showing growth for that student or not? Because that M-class, that reading measurement is not showing growth. So if there's a discrepancy, we have to do something about that. So we're getting more thoughtful about our conversations about those students. And you're right, we need to measure that frequently. And that's why one of our goals is, hey, if we don't measure, then maybe it takes us a month or two before we even respond to it, right? So we need to measure weekly, bi-weekly, and make sure that we continue to do that.
Great.
Great question.
So these items that you've listed for change, are these items changing because you feel like there was a deficiency, or are these simply areas that you're applying extra focus to try to go beyond the mark?
I think both ways. We're applying extra focus to progress monitoring because we noticed that that's one area that we were deficient in. So we noticed, yes, so let's really focus on progress monitoring. Other areas we were doing well in.
Yeah, I think part of that collaborative team PLC process is wherever you are, you can get better, right? You can always look at ways to improve that. We know that these are indicators that could bring us closer to our goals. We know that that's the case, and that's why we thoughtfully talked about and picked those to get us closer. Not that necessarily, like many schools don't even have dedicated win time, right? So that's a real barrier that they have to cross. We've already crossed that barrier with our PLC process time. So we are doing good things in a lot of those areas, but can we get better in those? Absolutely. So that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Members of the board, I'd invite Rick O'Driscoll down from Davis Middle School. Come on down.
Come on down.
The small one.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, sorry, we have to be the difficult school, so.
That's as difficult as you get. We're okay.
We can live through that. This happens to me a lot because my computer has 2 holes in it and they're the exact same. So, Riley Berger's going to be here with me. I'm just going to address the board. I do want to, as we're going through this, please be, whoa, what just happened?
Use over the top, so just, yeah.
No, I'm in the right place. I don't know why it's so little.
When you're done, you have to show us the car in the background.
You can come to my house later.
Slideshow. Maybe quick slideshow, it should.
There we go, that's better. So anyway, I have to tell you, one of the things I want to talk about first as we start going through this is Riley Berger's here with me. I want to say that this demonstrates our collaborative process to do this. So we've been working on this for, gosh, it's almost 3 weeks, right? And we started right from the very beginning addressing the whole staff together, sharing with them the data, and then we've all been digging into it. We have looked at so much data. And when you look at the state, what they provide us as far as data, there's like, I mean, tons of stuff there. And you have to sift through all that to see what is actually there. So as we go through this, please don't hesitate to ask any questions. First of all, I want to talk about our results, and I'm going to actually bring up the actual report. And what I want to make clear here, we were partially met. And I think, and I don't like to say that this is a good thing, but I think because of this happening, this is going to allow us to look at data a little bit differently. So what you'll notice in here, as far as achievement, we're meeting expectations. But what we've found out is we are not making it in growth and equity. And actually, if you look up at the equity, the cut score is in growth is 48, and we are 47. So that's forced us to look closer at our data in a way that's been different. I think for a long time we believed if we can be high achieving that we're going to be just fine. But as we go through this, you know, we've got some kids that are scoring really, really high that are not growing. And the higher you score, the smaller that gap gets. And so to continue to keep those growth things going, that's always a challenge. So as we go through this, when we look at our problem of practice at Davis Middle School, our problem of practice is in growth measures and our equity students. And they've already talked a little bit about that. That's our lowest of low kids. And that's not just low in Evanston or in Davis Middle School, but they put those all in a pool together as the state. And then they look at those growth. So those are the two areas where we struggle in. Growth measures and our equity students. Okay, so the way I put this together, one thing that maybe is unique about the middle school is every single person in our school is a member of our leadership teams. So we have multiple leadership teams, and then we have a guiding coalition. Riley is part of our guiding coalition, and so she kind of volunteered to come with me today to help support this. So this is all our work. Lots and lots of brainstorming, lots of things put together, and then as a guiding coalition, we came together and put these things out here. So this first leadership team is our HRS team. So in the past, it's always been about getting to that next level in HRS, which last year we made it to level 3. So this year, they're continuing to work on those things and check where we're at. Where do we need to grow? So in talking about that, these are our things where we think we need to change. Celebration of excellence. Now, at the end of each quarter, we always do celebrations for the good things that happen. But we're not focusing on some of our highest kids and how to get them motivated to be just a little bit better. So when we're talking about growth, we need to figure a way to do that. Revamping our win time. You heard Brad talk about win time. We have win time every week. Now, are we actually getting all the kids engaged? Now, in our situation, we try to do all kids. Is there a way to separate our high achievers so that teachers can focus on those other kids to get them to grow? The next thing, we have a homeroom, which is unique at middle school and high school, where kids are put in small groups that they meet there daily, and that's where they're mentored or taught their SEL things or help support them. One of the things we've never done that we're talking about doing is get that data specific to those 10 kids that you might have in that morning class. So you can be aware of how they're doing. So you can check their grades. So you can check where they're growing, where they're not growing, how to develop that. And then the last thing that we've been talking about probably for the last 3 years is trying to look at our schedule. Because one thing, when you get to secondary, we have lots of classes. So how do we prioritize the core? Because YTOP is looking at 3 things: English, math, and some science. But in our schools, every kid is put in a different class, and that causes the schedule to be, sometimes in the core you might have 23 kids, and sometimes you might have 8. So we'd like to try to figure a way out to balance that, so we're focusing on those groups to help them achieve higher in ELA, math, and science, because that's what our accountability is based on. Our next group, RTI, again, this is related to win time. In win time, our focus will be math, English, and science, and trying to enrich our highest performing students. And then TGIF is a reward system that we use usually every other week, which is an opportunity for those kids that have not been able to get their work caught up or need a small reteach. They get the opportunity to do that. Our kids that are achieving and doing well, they get an opportunity to go and celebrate and do something different. We're going to try to revamp that, because I think that some of that has lost its power to motivate kids. Now, it motivates 6th graders because it's the first time they've ever been offered that kind of thing. But it doesn't motivate, especially our 8th graders, as much. They would rather not even do it sometimes. And maybe the things that we're doing during TGIF are not what they want to do. So we're going to explore how to change that, make it more motivating for kids. Okay, at our attendance, we know if kids do not come to school, they cannot learn. So we've started really early this year with addressing those things. The part that we haven't done well at is we haven't reported out the data to staff. So when they have a kid that's maybe missed 10, 15 days already, do they even know what we're doing to support that kid and motivate them to come to school? And then we have started this year, the last thing on there is celebrating regular attendance. So at the end of each quarter, we take the time to celebrate all those kids that have been at school. Now, we don't separate them from the rest of the group, but the whole groups are there together and they get to see who gets celebrated for being there. One of the things that was suggested this morning was we need to make those kind of announcements more regularly so kids know, hey, because what we do at the end of a quarter, we'll give them an opportunity to start all over. So if you continue to improve in your attendance, we'll celebrate that and reward you for that. PBIS, we talked about this a little bit last time. This is really about getting a reward system that rewards positive behaviors. Now, the ultimate goal is to decrease negative behaviors, but what we're going to do is we're going to increase positive behaviors and reward those things with kids. The other thing that I don't think we've done well at is sharing that data out with staff. So let's say that for some reason all our behaviors happen first thing in the morning. We have not taken the time to share that with them, because if we knew that, we could do something in that situation to change that. Or if it was at lunch or whenever it is. So we're going to look closer at that behavior data and then make decisions on how to improve that. The next one, culture, and I'm going to let Ms. Berger talk about this.
Thank you. All right, Chairman Peterson, members of the board, nice to see you all again. I get to talk about the fun part of the presentation, but no less important than what Mr. O'Driscoll talked about. Like he said, my name is Riley Berger. Those of you who don't know me, I teach 7th grade science at Davis. So there are many things to celebrate about what Davis Middle School is doing right now, and I just want to highlight a couple of those things. We not only have an incredible collection of students at our school, but staff members as well. And it's because of this I think that we are going to be successful in implementing this improvement plan in our building. First thing I want to bring up is we have high achieving students and staff members. Like Mr. O'Driscoll said, most of our students are performing at a very high level, so getting them to take that extra step is something we're really going to focus on. Not only are our students performing at high levels, but our staff members as well. Over half of our paraprofessionals are trying to attain a higher degree right now and hopefully become teachers, so a lot of them are working towards that, as well as our current teachers are either working towards master's degrees, have master's degrees, or they do outside training, like you may have heard of letters training before, or Nearpod. Many of our staff members are working on that too. Also, a lot of our PLCs will take advantage of the summer curriculum work that our district offers, so our staff members are incredibly hardworking and ready to take this challenge on. As well as student success, Mr. O'Driscoll brought up PBIS. Our staff members celebrate student success daily. It's a huge shout out to our office staff. They do an incredible job of making, we call it our demon dollar store, but they make it very valuable to our students. So the demon dollar holds high value in our schools, so students want to work hard for those. I do want to bring up too, teachers spend a lot of time and money on celebrating students in our school. I know a great example of that is before the Y-Top test, a lot of teachers will go out and buy their homeroom classes breakfast. So there's a lot of celebration happening on teachers' dimes as well. And then finally, we just have a really positive culture at Davis. I think I speak for almost, I would say, all of our staff members when I say it's just a great place to work and a great place for students to be. I think the positive culture and positive relationships we have within our staff is setting a great example for the students at our school. We work well together, not only me and my other 7th grade teachers, but I feel like I have relationships as well with teams outside of the 7th grade. So I think we set positive examples for students as staff members. But to conclude, I just think our staff is determined to see students succeed. I think we're going to work hard, and not only work hard, but we're going to work together and ensure that our students are receiving a high-quality education to prepare them for high achievement in society. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Questions? Yeah, I guess that's it, right?
Any questions?
I just have one. What's your TGIF? How does it contrast with what the EMS is doing? Is it more frequent, more often?
It's more frequent. Yeah. And so some of the suggestions we actually had were that we would want to decrease the number of those and maybe make them more celebratory, I guess, of the great things that happen at school. I know when we presented that, 6th grade was like, oh, we would really love to continue the TGIF because those kids are so excited and work so hard to be part of that. So I think at this moment we're working on a way to balance that so we can do both. And the tricky part about that at middle school is we have to make sure that whatever day we do it on, it's the same schedule for everybody. But that section that might be dedicated to TGIF, the other teachers could use that maybe as an additional win time or something like that. And we actually talked about that this morning. So that might be a way of being able to do both. Giving some kids some more enrichment while also giving these kids that are working really hard to achieve this opportunity, that opportunity as well.
Thank you.
So, anything else?
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. I do appreciate Riley being here because standing up here is never one of my favorite things, and I say that every time. But thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Members of the board, I'd like to introduce Principal Steve Peterson from Aspen. Come on. Oh, you're here.
Do you need that one too?
A little nervous not seeing Jaren around for his technical issues.
Mr. Bennett can help you if it doesn't go right.
Right on.
Hey, Vince, the IT guy for the board.
We'll just shut down the
If that doesn't work, we have a notepad, you can just draw pictures.
I know, sometimes I think that I was born in the wrong generation.
She'll be back. I thought she was leaving. I'm done.
Yay. All right, Chairman Peterson, members of the board, it's great to be in front of you today to really celebrate Aspen Elementary and tell you some of the things that we're going to do or that we've been doing here at our school. Since I've had 2 other principals talk before me, I won't talk about some of the definitions of things a little bit, just because you've heard that. At Aspen Elementary, we are partially meeting expectations as well. So good news is we're meeting some expectations, but the bad news is we're not meeting some of the others. So I'll talk about those and then go forth with our plan. So for the 2023-24 school year, for growth, which is the mean growth percentile combined with reading and math scores for our 5th and 4th grade students. So really, it's just those 2 grades that we're looking at for all of this kind of stuff. Well, not all of it, but at least for the growth. And some of the things that we've noticed as well is, we have to figure out which kids aren't growing
and where they're not growing. Are they not growing in ELA? Are they not growing in math? Because it just combines the math and the ELA together. And so for that, it's like our puzzle to kind of put together, okay, who's not growing, how come they're not growing, what they're not doing. And so that's where we struggled a little bit last year. Equity, which is the bottom 25% of kids, the previous year, we met the expectations there. Achievement, we met expectations there as well. Those of you who've been around for a while in education, that used to be the only measurement we would ever do with schools, but I'm happy that we're focusing on growth as well as like our lowest achieving kids. Are we moving them as well? Our assessment participation, we met there. I threw that in there just because it was green, so.
Why not?
All right, so this is looking at, the top part is the federal government, so, what's that? Yeah. Wait, sorry, yeah. Sorry, the top one is state, and so you can tell we were below, again, with our growth, as well as the other part that we're below target is our English language proficient kids, and then so kind of one thing to think about with that one is tricky. I'm going to go back in just a minute and talk about historically kind of where we've been, because I think that's a good thing. So when you're looking at ELP, English Language Proficient, we get new kids all the time from different countries, different places, different backgrounds. And so that's a tricky one, because if you have a brand new kid from like Mexico, for example, and then it takes time for kids to be able to learn the language. So that doesn't focus, when we're talking about the English language proficient kids, we're not talking about how they do on YTOP. It's a test they take on reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So those are the big things. And so we're trying to teach kids the content for each grade level, but as well as we're trying to work on reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And so that's where we are there. So historically, the very top one that I have on here was 3 years ago, so in 2022. In that particular year, we were below target as well on growth. And so, but as we moved on, we met for the equity kids, so our lowest achieving kids. We met on achievement, and then we exceeded with our English language proficiency there. And so it's hard to get the kids who just are right there to pass out of that particular test. Then last year, we met expectations in all areas. We exceeded with our equity, which are our lowest kids. And then this year is the one at the bottom that I just barely went through, so I'm not going to go through that again. But for us, it was good for us to look. It's like, are we continually making the same, errors in instruction and student learning, or are we learning from things? All right, so our plan, I'm focusing on 3 things right now. Student support and practice. We know for kids to get better at reading, they've got to do more reading, right? So for kids to be better at math, they got to get better, do more math practice, and science as well. So the student support and practice is number 1. Number 2 is focused instruction for student learning. And then number 3 is ongoing teacher training and improvement. So our student support and practice, we have our grade level teachers working together to provide after-school tutoring to students based on teacher recommendations and parent requests, which that's a tricky thing. We have teachers who teach all day long, and then afterwards we're going to tutor for another couple hours. And so one thing that we focused on and have done this year, typically teachers are like, I can't do it every single day for the all week, right? And so now, like, our 3rd grade team have teamed up together, and they just kind of rotate, and they take a turn or 2 turns in a week. So we've done that with our 3rd grade and our 4th grade teachers as well, just because that helps tutor more kids and then also make it manageable for teachers, as you can imagine, how tricky that could possibly be. Then also we have staff. We've made some staff adjustments, teaching-wise and paraprofessionals-wise, to provide more opportunities for small group, Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions. Focused instruction for learning. We're continuing to plan using the district guaranteed and viable curriculum. Ongoing intentional monitoring of student progress. So, like, we can't wait until we get the white top scores to make adjustments, right? And so we have our common formative assessments that we do, as well as our WIN groups. We have students grouped up, and part of that is so the kids who, so we can keep our top kids growing, because potentially if our top kids didn't grow, that could have taken us down altogether, right? So we have WIN groups just so we can focus on growth for each level of student performance and learning. Regular fluency practice for reading and math. We're going to continue to do that and even press forward even more with math, just because we know, like, those foundational skills in math, if kids don't have them, they're going to struggle forever. So, for example, our first and second grade kids, just really having them solid and proficient in addition and subtraction. Our third grade kids, they've got to be proficient in multiplication, and once they get to fourth and fifth grade, those who don't have their multiplication or addition or subtraction, we're going to still support them and practice up to get those foundational skills so they can be better in solving the more advanced problems. You know, we know if they don't have those foundational skills, math is extremely difficult for them. And then we progress monitor students all along the way. Finally, ongoing teacher training and improvement. Aspen Elementary is always on a mission to be better, stronger, more effective, and more efficient as a school and as teachers and as a teaching team. You know, we didn't wait. We got these results a couple weeks ago, but we didn't wait to get these we're not just like responding to this, but every single year we work to get better, stronger, more effective, and more efficient. Ongoing teacher training and improvement. This summer we had a large group of teachers go to the Solution Tree PLC at Work training, which was really wonderful for us. This winter we are planning on going to the Get Your Teach On conference. And the cool thing about that conference is it has specific things for different grade levels. And so I know, for example, our third grade level team is going there. They're going to this conference. And at the conference, they have all stuff third grade. Same for each and every grade that we have at our school. So teachers are super excited about that. One thing that I also do, and I don't know if everyone loves it, but these conferences that we're going to are not during like the school year. One thing, it's super tricky to get subs for teachers, but the other thing is, like, that's time out of classrooms for teachers, and so that's one thing we always focus on at Aspen is, you know, let's get the training in at different times. And then we have on-the-job coaching, we have instructional intensity, folks coming and helping teachers all the time, and as well as support staff. That's a super important thing at Aspen Elementary, because we have really great support staff, and you know, sometimes they don't get the props, we don't talk about them, we don't like, I don't know, we don't celebrate them enough, but they are so critical to everything we do at Aspen Elementary School. And so a lot of these trainings, we even have some support staff going to as well as when we have people come into the building, we have them working with our support staff members to continue to get better and to feel supported and to get the training that they need to do their job the best that they can. As well, we have Monday morning professional development that we continue to do. All right, so our big thing we are focusing on this year is the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. You know, there's always tricky things that can throw us off from our target of what we're trying to do, but not us. We're going to focus on really what's the most important things and keep our focus on the main thing. Again, our mission is championing all students towards success, grade level and beyond. So we want all kids to leave Aspen Elementary with those foundations and be grade level and beyond performing students as they move on. And our vision is every student, every day. And I think that is it. So anyway, I feel like we have a really good plan put together. We started this improvement way before we were given this news, so to speak. So Aspen Elementary is a great school. We have terrific teachers, terrific support staff, and we have the best kids in the district. So anyway, any questions from you? Concerns?
Yes, you do. Best kids.
Thank you. You said that you started the improvements before the news came to you. Is that because your metrics kind of indicated to you that you were going to have?
No, every year we start out like, okay, how can we get better?
Okay.
So that's what I meant by that is, yeah, we had all this stuff put together. We've had, our professional development, plan. We've had, what are we going to do to get better and better? And, we always get new teachers and some teachers switch spots, and it's just a continuous growth plan. We do student improvement plans every year to the state as well. We do improvement plans as Title I schools as well. We do those too. So just the ongoing improvement is just the nature of what we do.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So before I go on here real quick, I know Joel Weidrich needs to leave and just be excused, but just want to say I'm going to miss you, brother.
Yep.
I'm going to miss you a lot on this board, so
Thank you.
think you were level-headed, so.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, we will move on to our discussion items.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, the next two items, we're going to turn the time over to CFO John Williams.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I want to give you an update on the health, not health, I've been working on that on the side, property insurance renewal. I don't have a formal quote ready tonight. I do have an email that was sent to me at 1:35 today from Lexi Lamb at Tegler. And so right now the insurance quote as it stands, it says renewal price last year was $280,000. The premium renewal doesn't have any endorsements for the climate control system. So when we added the train piece on that, RIDE is telling us that they will be including a 13% increase, which is less or more than I had budgeted and things. The increase will not include the increase to the property value or $2 million coverage for the dome. So I've added each dome at $1 million of property. She says I'm estimating $1,050,000 for the increase. RIDE is looking at the increase for all public entities across the board increases for the funds for future claim payouts. The firearm liability, they're looking at about $1,000 increase, which is in line. Right now, the renewal price is $13,400. Cyber is a section that says, my underwriter told me that they're expecting a 15% decrease from last year. That's good. She's expecting the renewal total to be around $18,000 to $19,000. Premium last year was $22,000. So one of the reasons why we're kind of shopping around and seeing if we can find a better rate to bring to the board in December. She says she was told of another carrier that may be willing to cover the kind of the school concealed carry thing. One of the issues that I'm working out is what are different scenarios if the legislature goes different directions, which very well could happen on that. And so the kind of the back of the napkin that I'm running is about 398,000. I've got about 336,000 budgeted this year for that, which was an increase. I knew that it was going to come in high, so I've got to cover 62,000 is my back of the napkin. I mean, again, that's what I'm hearing. So I just want to give you an update on that. I'll do my best to get, obviously, the best rate I can with the coverage that we need. I did we always compare ourselves to Star Valley. They're paying $490,000. So, okay. And the question is are the apples and apples to apples, or is it a little bit different? So, I think everybody, every homeowner would say, yes, my homeowner's insurance has gone up, and I think that's the same with school insurance. So, but any questions on?
So my question is, we had such a problem with finding somebody to carry us on our concealed carry.
Yeah.
And Teagler was like the only ones that I thought that we had that would even carry us.
So what, actually it's Lloyd's of London that's carrying they're doing a separate rider with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is that because the legislature's moving a certain direction, that there are more people going in and saying, okay, we'll insure you, but it has to be a kind of a separate rider.
Okay.
So, any other questions on that? That's just where it stands right now. Okay, the second item that I have before you is really, I need the board to make the decision, okay? So if you remember, we had a student activity account with Bank of the West. We received 2 bids for student activity services. Because this is kind of a very public thing, I'm going to give you the two things. One is we've got Glacier Core, which is First Bank, and they're saying, hey, we'll offer a kind of a savings account of 2%. The advantages for me, is that if I need to transfer funds, I have it all in one website. It's really easy. 2% is not bad. I mean, it's not fabulous, but it's not bad on that. The other one is Uinta Bank. Uinta Bank is right next to the high school. That's convenient to them. And they're offering a 0.15% interest rate to hold our funds. With both of them, they're going to be collateralized or FDIC insured and things like that. Now, there's the kind of the 2 ideas are, one is there's kind of a, hey, try to get as much interest income as you can, John, with the student activity funds. I mean, we like that. On the other hand, we are also trying to spread the wealth out with different banking groups. And I'm right, as I was trying to figure out, I don't know, I thought this would be a good decision for the board to do. So if you want to go with the interest income, great. If you want to do the spread the wealth, that's fine. But I leave it to the board to make the final go, no go on that.
No, I was reading through there, and it was kind of interesting that you said the convenience of you in a bank because it's close.
Well, it's close to the high school. It's close to the high school. They can, it's
compared to 2 blocks away.
Yeah, that's
So that's my thing. So when it comes to, I believe, the action items, you can have a vote.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Thomas, discussion item C, high reliability conference, school conference.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, every year we take a group of board members to the HRS conference in San Antonio. Why this conference is so good is it's specifically on high reliability schools. And we hear from the best and the brightest in the business. And at the same time, we'll have 4 elementary schools recognized for being certified level 4, which is impressive. We'll have schools recognized for certified level 3. So we typically budget 3 board members to go. Like I said, it's a great conference. They encourage at least 3 of you to go. You need to let us know as soon as you can. We do have a larger than normal number of teachers going, which I think is good for you guys because you can kind of rub shoulders with our teachers too and get to know them. But it is a good conference, excellent conference. Like I said, you get to hear from the best. And we'll be one of the standouts this year with 4 elementaries in level 4.
Good.
So if you know you would like to go, those are the dates. Just let Sherry know and we'll start making arrangements. If there's more than 3 that want to attend, you understand the problem when it gets to be 5. It needs to be at least 3 or 4. How's that? And we definitely invite our new board members too.
No, Dan and I've been down twice to them, and they're amazing, right? They're excellent conferences, and you come out of there completely motivated. So if you have the opportunity to go, it's a really good experience. So, and especially being recognized as we are going to be nationally, with that. So.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to walk across the stage.
It is.
Be recognized in front of a huge audience. So yeah.
All right, the end of the discussion on that, I guess?
That's all I had.
Okay. We will move on to the delegate assembly.
Members of the board, you know, every year at the November Wyoming School Boards Conference, there's a delegate assembly. And in the past, probably the last 3 or 4 years, they've had just a list of, we agreed all these different resolutions. This year, they've not done that because there's only 6 resolutions. And as a representative of the delegate assembly, Dan has been, Dan needs input from you guys in terms of the way he would like to vote. These are not necessary, we're not voting on this, we just need a thumbs up, that's the direction we'd like to go, or a thumbs down, that's not the direction we'd like to go. So I'd like to quickly review some of these options. The positive thing is that 3 of them are basically the same, which is the first time I've seen that. And they're pretty specific in terms of this will be probably a big discussion on the floor of the delegate assembly. So are you okay, Chairman, if I just kind of start going through these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one, local boards to decide concealed carry rule. Be it resolved that the Wyoming School Boards Association supports the right of local school boards to create and enact a concealed carry rule in accordance with Wyoming statute rather than having it imposed by the state. There is a feeling that this year there will be the appeal of the gun-free zones, which will impact all schools in Wyoming. This gets to the idea that right now, according to statute, we determine who concealed carry in our schools. We potentially lose that if this law is enacted. Because our employees are also citizens of the great state of Wyoming, and so if anyone can conceal carry in schools, they could. So these 3 are really getting to the idea of school boards still should maintain the ability to know who on their staff is carrying and provide some sort of requirement for training. We've already talked about this, and my expectation is regardless of what happens, we'll probably still offer the gun safety training and certification that we provide now to those that would be interested. The difference is we lose all those requirements to qualify. All you have to have is a concealed carry permit. And so this is one, it's really pretty straightforward. If you look down at the bottom of the rationale, Wyoming School Board of Directors felt that this issue should be discussed by the delegate assembly. The first 3 resolutions deal with the authorization to carry firearms in schools. By giving no recommendation, this matter will be forwarded to the floor of the delegate assembly for discussion and action. Affirmation and denial of any one position is not the exclusion of the others. So if you look at 2, as you go down, they get a little more detail. Resolution 2 is retain local board authority over possession of firearms by employees. This actually states that if they eliminate gun-free zones, this is actually a lot more detailed. What will happen for us and to employees who choose to carry. Personally, my opinion, I would hope that they would allow school boards to determine anyone who can concealed carry in schools. I would like to see that part of the legislation, and not just open it to anyone who chooses to conceal carry. Remember, this is not just at our K-12 schools. It is K-12 schools, but it's also activities. So all of our activities, events, anyone that has a concealed carry permit could bring a weapon into our schools, which is concerning to some. So that's those 3. I'll read the third one. You can see this is in a lot more detail. And concealed carry permit requirement that Wyoming School Boards Association supports the authority of local school boards to manage concealed carry policies in school districts in Wyoming. Should the Wyoming legislature seek to amend Wyoming Statute 68104 eliminating gun-free zones, we support retaining the provision that restricts authorization to carry firearms into schools to those employees authorized by the district, and extending it to those individuals who present their concealed carry permit prior to entering any school or school facility. I'm not an attorney, but in terms of, is this constitutional? Probably not. You can't restrict our employees simply because they're our employees if the law says that anyone can carry into the building. So I think this has got a way to go. I think maybe that's why they're having the discussion, because I think it would be unconstitutional. We would not have the right to have an employee tell us they're a concealed carry, if anyone can do it. Jeff, is that fair?
It needs work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what would you like to have Dan do with 1, 2, and 3?
I'd like 1 up.
And
2 and 3
Jessica,
have
too,
not.
probably. Jessica, you be part of the delegate assembly?
Yeah. We have 2 votes. Based on our enrollment, we get 2 votes.
Any feedback? Dan on his own?
Thank you.
For me, I like the thumb ups up on 1 because it's closest to what we have already in place. I think 2 and 3, I don't know if I'm really in favor of that at this point.
And that was pretty much the general consensus at the fall board meeting we had. But because of the chance that, or more than a chance that what the legislature's going to do, then these other things had to be added in. So, good discussion point, and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Anybody else? Going once? Going twice?
Okay, resolution 4, homeschool should not be classified as a dropout. I mentioned this before. Be it resolved that the Wyoming School Board Association supports the classification of all students transferring from enrollment in the district to homeschool to be classified as a transfer, not a dropout. Kind of interesting, if you notice, Wyoming School Board's directors denied this, and this is the rationale. Wyoming School Board of Directors felt that this resolution was unnecessary as the state and federal law allowed for a student who elects to leave a public school for a homeschool program to be counted as a transfer rather than a dropout. But, next one, upon further investigation with the district, staff learned that WDE does sometimes count, and it's not sometimes,
It's all of that.
it's they count such a student as a dropout, particularly when the homeschool student elects a virtual school curriculum not approved by the state. This appears to be an overreach. Staff believe that this resolution could be amended and approved by the Assembly. To do so, the body would move to affirm the resolution, amend it by deleting the original resolution in whole and replacing it with the following. In other words, how this works and why it works the way it does, the federal government has a different definition of a dropout. Our state has a different definition. It's the one we live by, which counts homeschooled students as dropouts. It counts students in the Boost program, which receive a high school certificate as a dropout. And it's not our classification, it's not us calling it, it's the state of Wyoming. So I'm hoping they could get this right. I'd hate to say divert to the federal, but for the first time, maybe they're on the right page. At least don't harm public schools by parents making a choice not to educate their kids there and how they educate their kids. We need to support that, I think. The state needs to support it too. So, comments to Dan? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs up. We're in favor of it.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah, don't classify it as a dropout.
Yep. Correct.
As a transfer.
Dan, you got enough?
Got enough.
Okay. 5, curriculum transparency. Be it resolved that the Wyoming School Board Association is committed to supporting curriculum transparency measures between our schools and the community. Notice there's no recommendation, but the rationale, I think, is important. The Wyoming School Board of Directors felt that this resolution was unnecessary. The position is already represented in the advocacy agenda, and a similar resolution has already passed this body. Last year, we got the new law, Parents' Right Law, which requires transparency in everything we do. Our district has always been transparency with curriculum, and we've always tried to include our curriculum on our webpage. So parents always have the access. So it's not that we're against transparency, it's just that it's already there.
It's already there.
Do we need another law to state what's already in law? And if you recall last year when they were voting for the parental rights bill, I showed you all the policies that we have at Uintah County School District that give parents total transparency in our curriculum. So, feedback to Trustee Wheeler.
No, I agree. I think that the transparency is already there. I don't know why we're...
Yeah. I don't think redundant laws.
And this is, yeah.
You got that?
I'm good. Yep.
Okay. 6, statutory notification dates for boards of trustees and certified staff. This one's interesting. Be it resolved that the Wyoming School Boards Association supports changing the statutory notification dates found in Wyoming statute and Wyoming statute. Current law requires notification of initial contract teachers of a termination no later than April 15th. It is proposed to move that the date to April 1st. Concurrent law requires staff resigning from their position to be given written notice on or before May 15th. It is proposed to move that date to April 15th. Rationale, there's an overwhelming amount of data demonstrating there is a significant shortage of teachers, not only in Wyoming, but across the country. Teacher preparation programs are not turning out enough instructors to fill the void we are experiencing. States around us are historically served, and I'm not going to read the rest, but what I wanted to read is the rationale of why there's no recommendation. The Wyoming School Board of Directors felt that this resolution was unnecessary. Districts already have opportunities to incentivize employees to give notice sooner and already have the ability to give notice to their own employees sooner if needed. You're aware that we offer the early notification incentive, which is by March 1st.
Yeah.
And so we've already moved that up. Moving it from the 15th to the 1st, it puts us in a time crunch with the board meeting. I don't think it'll help us.
No.
You guys realize continuing contract teachers, their contracts automatically renew even if they don't sign their contract by May 15th.
May 15th, yeah.
And that's always been the way it is. That might be better to move it up earlier because then a teacher would be on contract and we would know that they're coming back. But teachers don't have to sign their contracts that are continuing contract teachers. So there's always been kind of a void there. We still get resignations after May 15th, even though contractually they have agreed, even though they don't sign their contract. Hard to hold a teacher that wants to leave your, or has left your community to a contract when they haven't signed it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, feedback to Dan.
Yep, it was pretty much the board's feeling that this, but it had been brought up, so you have to go through the process, but yeah, it wasn't gonna help anything. And most districts are like we are, that incentivize anyway, so. Yep.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay?
Agreed. Yep.
Good to go?
Good to go?
Yep.
That's all. Oh, there is the advocacy agenda, which I think is really good. If you go through it, it's what the Wyoming School Board is an advocate for. One of the main ones is teacher salaries, teacher and support staff salaries.
Yeah.
They're definitely supportive of our participation in the lawsuit, even though they didn't join it. So I would encourage you to read through the advocate agenda. If you have questions or concerns, give them to Dan and Jessica, and they can support whatever you guys want. But it's good. It hasn't changed greatly from in the past, but we reviewed it at our fall roundup. So that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. So next on our item is public comments. And before we go into public comments, I would like Mr. Thomas to read kind of procedures of how this is going to take place. What I'm going to ask is limit your comments to 2 minutes. And what I'm going to ask as well is if there is several that are going to be the same, have somebody that's going to represent a group. And then they can come up and speak on behalf of a group if they choose to do so. But before we go this direction, and Mr. Thomas does this, I want to make you know for sure and clarity, this board does not hire and fire as far as our activities, coaches, or on that line, or even any of our support staff. So that has a certain place that takes place, and that goes through the administrative side of things. We are here to listen to you, but be known that anything that takes place is through the administration. So.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, this is roughly several policies that we review annually. But these were actually developed in 1978, so we followed these procedures for a long time. So I'm not going to read all of it, kind of pick and choose, but there's some points that I think would help everyone involved. Public participation at board meetings is filed KB. All regular and special board meetings shall be open to the public except for executive sessions. Since the board wishes to be aware of the problems, requests, complaints, and suggestions of the members of the community, the board welcomes participation of interested organizations or individuals, and for that purpose will allow time on the agenda. We've had public comment in every agenda we've ever put together. Third paragraph down, the board may also allow patrons or delegations to speak before the board without prior notice, but it is the policy of the board not to take action without an opportunity to investigate all sides of the question. Any person wishing to speak before the board must be recognized by the chairman. Chairman may limit the time of any presentation. If there are groups that wish to speak, the chairman may select or call a representative from each side of an issue to speak for the group. The chairman may limit the total time to be spent on comments from visitors and may impose such reasonable regulations as may be necessary to maintain orderly deliberations. Members of the board, the superintendent, and other administration shall have the privilege of questioning any person who addresses the board. It must be borne in mind that board meetings are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of schools. They are not public hearings, but meetings held in public. Therefore, the board shall not allow public participation to interfere with its diligent attention to the affairs of the district as stated in the meeting agenda. Public complaints, constructive criticism of schools or school employees will be welcomed by the board when it serves to improve the educational program. This represents the chain of command. Although no member of the community shall be denied the right to petition the board for a solution of a complaint, the board believes that complaints and grievances are best handled and resolved as close to their origin as possible. Therefore, complaints shall be referred back through the proper channels for solutions before investigation or action by the board. Exceptions are complaints that concern board actions or board operations only. You can see that the chain of command is teacher, sponsor, coach. principal, director, superintendent, board. Members of the board shall refuse to handle complaints individually or to deal independently with those who have complaints. Individual members have no authority to commit the board to any course of action. Complaints of a serious nature shall be made in writing and presented to the board as a whole. Policy KLD, public complaints about school personnel. Criticism of schools is welcome when it is motivated by a sincere desire to improve the quality of educational program and equip the schools of the district to their task more effectively. However, the board places trust in its employees and will protect them to the extent possible from unwarranted criticisms or complaints. Personnel shall be informed of the nature and the source of the significant complaints against them. Anonymous complaints will be disregarded. It is also emphasized that a complaint should be made at the appropriate time and place and in a civilized manner. In no case shall complaints be made in front of students or during class time. The superintendent shall develop for approval by the board procedures which assure prompt and fair attention to complaints against the school personnel. Procedures shall require that an employee who is an object of a complaint be informed promptly and be afforded the opportunity to present the facts as he sees them. And finally, this is actually the superintendent's method that you must follow. So it's KLDR, which is a regulation, public complaints about school personnel. The following procedures are established to ensure that a citizen's complaint, provided it is made in an appropriate time and place and in a non-abusive manner, shall be given respectful attention. Complaint in this regulation shall be restricted in meaning to that criticism of a particular school employee by a citizen of the school district which includes or implies a demand for action by school authorities. Other comments and suggestions will be referred informally to the affected personnel. So there's a series of steps here. The first one is if a complaint comes directly to a teacher, sponsor, coach, and how they handle that. Number two, if a complaint comes first to the principal or other supervisor of the person criticized, he should listen courteously and acknowledge a letter promptly and politely, but should make no commitments, admissions of guilt, or threats. If the complaint involves a particular employee, the supervisor should suggest a conference between the complainant and the person criticized, and should inform the person immediately of the complaint. If the complaint has already conferred with the person criticized and remains unsatisfied, the supervisor should invite the complainant to file his complaint in writing and offer to send him the appropriate form regarding the school employee's behavior, character, and qualifications. For us, the appropriate form is either a letter or now with email. They're all welcome. 3, if the complaint comes first to any other school employee, the employee will refer the complaint to the person criticized or his immediate supervisor and immediately inform both. 4, no further action on the complaint should be taken unless the complainant submits the complaint in writing. This rule does not preclude the continuing effort to improve instruction and other aspects of school operations. When a written complaint form is received, the principal or other supervisor will schedule a conference with himself, the complainant, the person criticized, and if advisable, the department chairman or other personnel that either the supervisor or person criticized feels could contribute to a resolution of the problem. If the complainant is not satisfied with the results of the conference above, he should then be referred to the superintendent, who may handle the complaint personally or refer it to other personnel as he may see fit. Again, this was put together in 1978. It's what we followed for a long time. And just to add, Chairman Peterson, the board does take action on one employee. The board holds me accountable to manage the affairs of the district. And if I don't do that satisfactory, you evaluate me and you hire and fire me. That is by statute the only individual that you hire and fire. Just so that's clear. We anticipate and expect that complaints should be held in writing and they should follow the chain of command. With that said, the mic is open to community members who would like to express dissatisfaction with programs, but they should not mention personnel as their rights are protected in a public meeting like this. Mr. Phillips, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, just to emphasize that this is not the kind of a meeting where we discuss individuals. They have constitutionally protected privacy rights. It's not that kind of a hearing.
That's all I have.
There's a method for doing that, but it's not today.
Follow the chain of command. That's all I have.
All right, we'll open it up to public comments.
They do need to give their name.
Yes, and address. Name and address. So when you approach the board, please give your name and address.
All right. Good evening. I'm Crystal Peterson, 311 Clarkson Avenue. Board members, I have been intending to get in here since September and October, but each time we had board meetings, I was working with middle school volleyball girls and coaching them in their games. But I wanted to take this afternoon or this evening and with gratitude, thank the board for the steps on the pay scale, for the increase in the base. I'm one of those teachers that's been here a while, and without that, I would be having to cut a lot in my budget. Right now, with that increase, I have a little increase with the increase on the insurance, so most of it goes to that, but I still am able to do the things that my family likes to do and not have it feel a burden. I've had several people also extend to me today that they would like to show their appreciation. They couldn't attend, but they're in the same situation, that they're kind of a more veteran teacher with more experience, and to the spot where I can't really move any further without a master's. And it's not like I didn't want a master's, but I worked and got to the 45 or plus 45 and beyond, and just didn't really feel like I wanted to pursue something, everything that felt like it was administration. And I didn't want to be in administration. I love where I'm at teaching. I feel like I still have a lot to offer with the students there. And I just wanted to recognize your efforts in trying to do that for the staff. And I realize that not all staff are quite as happy. They're kind of stalled out. They feel maybe at a step, but they are getting more where they would normally not be with the increase on the bases. They are receiving more. And then when they get to my age and kind of stall out, they do have more room to be able to go out. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Michelle Robertson, and address is 63 Ray Street. Am I okay to continue?
Yes.
So I understand I can talk about programs. Is that correct? Okay, so I would like to express some concern to the board, and I have some letters from parents that I'd like to give to you. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm concerned about some of the programs, the activity programs, and the emotional support that athletes or participants are getting, and that potentially that support is not up to par. I'm a mental health professional. I have my own private practice, and I've worked in the community for many, many years supporting adolescents and adults, and some of the accounts that children I know have gone through for many years under some of these programs is concerning, to say the least. So I've got some letters for you guys to review and just encourage maybe some, whatever the board can do. Any questions?
You want to get those right there? So,
Okay, perfect, thank you.
so thank you.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you.
questions at all? No? Okay.
Going once, going twice.
Michelle Callis, 336 Maple Street. I would just like to say thank you. My children don't go to school anymore, but we have had a positive, wonderful experience with this school district. The teachers have been fabulous. Our coaches have been fabulous. The behind-the-scene people that do the work, thank you. Our little grandson started kindergarten this year, and I just want to say thank you. We have had a positive experience in every aspect, and I want to say thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Going once,
There's no other comments? If there's no other comments, we can move on to our action items. Alrighty, we will move on to our action items. Mr. Thomas.
Chairman Peterson, we make a recommendation that you approve the 2023-24 audit as presented earlier today.
Okay. So I need a motion to approve the 23-24 audit as it was presented earlier today.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Second that motion?
I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. We need to move on to action item number B.
Members of the board, typically we make a recommendation, but we felt it was best that the board consider the issues here, and we recommend that you make a recommendation on these banking services as recommended by CFO Williams.
That's a lot of recommends.
Yes, it is.
I like the interest.
I like the interest, you know, and I guess I'm that row. So if you want to come down and say a couple of more words.
If you have questions, I'm just here for questions.
You're just here for questions?
Well,
see, we rely upon you because you are the brains of all this stuff. So we want your recommendations.
Again, you represent the public.
I'm going to say, I think we opened it up to bid or opened it up to
Well, we have
everybody.
two proposals,
And we
yeah.
got the two proposals and.
We can go down that line.
And I
Okay.
think I'm with you, I like to spread the wealth, but I think at this point,
That's not our
First
job.
Bank give us a better recommendation, or a better
Interest rate.
interest rate.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
So do you want to go individual votes on this, or we just want to go with, I can recommend UNO Bank.
Yeah, why don't you make a motion?
It was
Yeah.
First Bank.
First Bank.
First Bank.
Okay,
First Bank.
so I need a
Chairman.
motion to approve the banking services by First Bank.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the banking service by First Bank.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
He's not moving because the next one is the bus lease, so if you have questions about that, he's very willing to answer.
Okay. This
I
one,
recommend you, sorry, John.
this memo came basically without a discussion. What I have found is that there is an IRS rule that says you've got 60 days in which if you have basically bought a bus or something and you're going to use municipal leasing, the board has to authorize our intent. If we don't, then when it goes time for the financing, that can get us in trouble and we can't use it. So we've got this bus that came in October. We have another bus that's coming in December, we think. And both of them, we're going to go out to bid for that. We have paid off the first bus. Now we're going to get reimbursed. And this is just saying, the board is saying, hey, we intend to use municipal financing, and then I can go back to the lenders and say, yep, the board has done that.
So we are voting on the intent. Okay, that's what we're gonna, okay. So I need a motion to approve the official intent for the bus lease.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we are intended to buy a bus.
Thank you. Actually, two.
Oh, two of them, so, okay. All right, we're going on to action item number D. I checked things off too fast, so.
Members of the board, we recommend that you approve the Uinta Meadows School Improvement Plan as presented.
Okay. So
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
All right, I have a motion.
Second that motion.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We need to go on to action item E and approve the DMS School Improvement Plan.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Improvement plan is approved. Moving on to F, improvement plan for Aspen Elementary School.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. All right, last of our action items. We will move on to our board roundtable.
Are you okay if I go first? Sorry. Just to congratulate all of our newly elected and really elected board members, and to remind that after this meeting, we do need to take the oath of office. I guess for 45 years, we've been doing it incorrectly. Statute requires that you do it within 10 days of the election. So we'll do it tonight, and we'll not be violating any laws.
Okay, I'm going to take up a little bit of your time, but I want to start by saying thank you to the community, which there's usually not this many people here, so I wasn't anticipating such a crowd. But thank you for allowing me to serve on the board over the last 6 years. I've really enjoyed learning kind of the ins and outs of our district, and I honestly think until you serve on the board, you don't appreciate all the work that goes into providing this education for our children. Our administration worked very hard to support our staff, to provide a safe environment, the viable curriculum, budget for the district, and has even joined in other counties to take on the state to push for more funding, the increase in funding that we need. I think we have some of the best teachers and support staff, and we're fortunate to live in a community where our schools really do try to make a difference in the lives of our children. With that being said, I'm going to ask that our board really work to continue to support some extracurricular activities. There are some amazing programs we have, and it was perfect that it was our Uinta Science Night, because Teton Science School has been a big impact, and I think the Uinta Science School is going to be awesome for our kids, and I really hope it can spread out. We also have FFA, we have drama, we have DECA, family, career, and community, speech and debate, robotics. Mrs. Peterson's here. We love math counts, marching band, choir, and one that's I'm particularly fond of, which is our 8th grade challenge Spanish class. And I don't know if you guys know that last year they came to us and asked to go to Laramie for the Laramie World Language Day. It's something that they've done for about 11 years now. Every year they've taken either first or second. And these are our 8th grade students that go, and they're actually participating in a high school class. This is not a middle school class. This year, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but our teachers that do that have not come and asked the board to go to that. Last year, they kind of felt like it wasn't supported very well by the board. Even though they went, they just felt like their jobs are going to be on the line if they have any sort of incidents. So in the last 11 years that they've gone, they've not had a single incident. They take the time to find the correct chaperones, to make sure they set high expectations for these kids. They've been diligent with supervision. And as a board member, I don't want to see that program go away. This is something that our students have the opportunity to go to the Laramie campus to participate with almost 300 other students from all over the state, including 2 other middle schools, to participate in cultural learning along with seeing the planetarium, to see the Museum of Natural History, and it's something that we can't just reproduce around here. So I really encourage us as a board to be supportive in that and maybe see if they're interested in going again this year, and to not let that program die. So, but thank you guys, and I really have enjoyed working and kind of learning here. So, sorry it's very hard to talk in front of so many people. It's way easier when this room is empty. So,
Which it usually is.
yeah, so it's nice to see this many people here.
Well, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I would just like to tell you, we're going to miss you, and I really appreciated your input and your service on the board.
Thank you.
So everybody that doesn't get to go to the executive sessions, I'm telling you, there's been some elevated voices at times. So it's not always easy, but we work our way through things. And we have difference of opinions at times, but we work and we function well as a board. Like I said, there might be some disagreements on things at times, but when we vote as a board, we vote as a board, and the majority rules, and that's how we work. And so the other thing that I think, and I've always been very fond of, is counseling. And we have the ability to counsel together and talk together in those executive meetings, and we get a lot of things resolved, because there's many different opinions, and there's many different personalities and different representation on this board, and I appreciate everybody's input, and we move forward that way. And so, thank you. Thank you.
Ethan, say anything?
All right, anything else from the roundtable?
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. We're done.
Thank you. It was great. And that's what I